Hey everyone! So for today, what I wanted to do was harvest some herbs and make some things with them. I'll also show you in general how I'm drying my herbs right now as well. But I'm not going to harvest all of my herbs. I think I have 15 or 16 different types. But the three I want to make some stuff with and harvest today are three that I did not grow last year at all. In fact, I think most of them were either recommendations from people watching here or people on Instagram. So the three I'm going to be working with are lemongrass, which I have right here, pineapple sage, and lemon balm right here. Now, so far I think I've harvested a little bit of lemon balm to make some tea, which after making tea with fresh herbs this year, I don't know if I can ever go back to regular tea bags, but it's been delicious. But I haven't done anything at all yet with the pineapple sage or the lemongrass, so I am very excited. So my plan is with the lemon balm and pineapple sage, I want to make some sun infused waters. So I'm going to harvest enough to fill each of these jars about a quarter of the way and then fill the rest with water, leave them out in the sun for like 5 to 8 hours. And then that way I'll have some infused water. And then with the lemongrass, I'm going to make some lemongrass rings that I can then use in tea. And I got that idea from a book. So let me show you what I have. So at the Chicago Botanic Garden, where I just went recently, and I usually go quite frequently, they have a gift shop. And in that gift shop, they have a lot of books, and I have been on a gardening book frenzy, I feel like, this year. But one of the ones I picked up was Crafting with Herbs, and you can see all of the crafts that I've already tagged to do later. But this one had the lemongrass ring, so I'm going to follow those instructions to make the wreaths, is what they call them, to put into tea. I also got another book, but I haven't really started reading it yet, called The Wild Craft. So I was in a crafting mood apparently when I was in the gift shop. I think this one is more related to just all plants in general, not specifically with herbs. But I cannot tell you how happy I am that I've expanded my herb garden this year. It's just been something that's brought me a lot of joy. So I figured what I will do is I will take you in and kind of show you how I harvest the herbs first. Then we'll get to harvesting them, and then we will make the infused water and the rings. Now, the first thing I do before harvesting is check for pests. And I try to do that with regular frequency anyway, at least a quick daily look. But I'm thinking of this because yesterday I saw that my catmint was absolutely covered in aphids, even though the internet told me that catmint was something that deterred aphids. But I gave it just a spray with the hose, some neem oil, and it seems like all the aphids are gone today. But obviously you don't want to harvest herbs with the pests and then have the pests on them when you're using them in your infused waters. So just taking a look here, I mean, the leaves and stem are all pretty clean, nothing on the other side of the leaves. Overall, it's a pretty healthy looking plant. There are some leaves that have like a little bit of browning on them, and I'll just kind of ignore those when I'm choosing the leaves for the infused water that I'm going to harvest. Now, this one, the lemon balm, which is in the mint family, which I didn't know, but I kept looking at this plant and thinking it's shaped oddly like a mint. And it is part of the mint family. So this one, it's a little bit denser. It's harder to see pests. So let's hope, fingers crossed, don't find anything lurking in here. And it looks pretty clean on the plant. I have also had some issues in my chocolate mint with larvae of some sort of moth or flying creature in the soil, but the soil here, at least for now, looks pretty good. So a few harvesting tips on your herbs. Typically, I don't like to harvest more than 1/3 of the total plant size because I don't want to take the plant too far down and shock it in any way. So I just take off about 1/3 at the maximum. Now, if I'm just grabbing a few leaves for like a quick tea, then I'll just pull what I need. But I am going to harvest about 1/3 off of this plant total. I'll use as much as I need to in the infused water, and then I'm just going to hang the rest to dry. Let me take you in a little bit closer now as I show you kind of how you harvest your herbs. So for the majority of the herbs that I grow in my garden, you just want to come down to above a leaf set and harvest right there. So if I harvested right here above this leaf set, then that's just going to cause this leaf to branch out, this leaf on this side to branch out, and it'll make an overall bushier plant. And that seems to be the strategy for most herbs that I have. Lemongrass is a little bit different, but anything that kind of grows on a stem with leaf sets, you're gonna follow that same strategy. So, for example here, I'm just going to cut, let's actually go right above this one, snip that off, and now this one here and this branch here are gonna grow and create more branches. So now I'm going to harvest the rest of this, and I'll show you how I clean my herbs. So this is how much is left of my pineapple sage. Again, I try to leave 2/3 of the plant, harvest at most 1/3. I rub my fingers on it. It smells so good and sweet. So this I'm gonna set now to the side, and I have everything I harvested in this container. What I like about this container is it has, I think I've shown this before, but it has a strainer that fits into a bowl. So I'm just gonna fill this with water now, kind of swish the leaves around just to clean off any bugs that might be hiding, any eggs that are on these, anything like that, dirt in general. I'm gonna give it a quick clean, and then we'll go ahead and fill the jar with, again, about 1/4, and then hang everything else to dry in here. So let's go get these cleaned off. And then I'm also just gonna use my hands and kind of swish them around. Now, if I was doing something like basil, I might be a little bit more delicate, but this herb isn't too incredibly delicate, but just keep that in mind. I know with basil, I try to be extra gentle just so I don't bruise any of the leaves. And again, why I like this is because once I feel like I have everything pretty clean, I just take the strainer right out of the basket. Here are my clean herbs. So now I'm just going to pick off the leaves. You can just throw them into the jar, but I like to even kind of tear up and shred the leaves because I feel like that releases a bit more flavor. I'm just gonna keep sniffing these while I make this. So I'm just gonna tear and throw into the jar until I have about 1/4 of the way full. So I think I'm gonna stop here with the amount of pineapple sage. I'm gonna fill the rest with water, but I'm gonna do the lemon balm first before I take these inside and fill them with water. So I think I used 3 of the stems that I cut off of the plant, and I have about 5 left. So these I'm going to just set over there to dry a little bit while I work on the lemon balm, and then I will hang these to dry later. Just in general with herbs, so fresh herbs are going to be less potent than dry herbs, so you're going to need basically more fresh herbs to get the same flavor as dried herbs. I think it's usually about like a 1/3 amount of the dry herbs compared to the fresh herbs when you're using a recipe. So I'm going to dry these, and then I can use them in tea mixes. So I'm going to do the exact same process that I did for the pineapple sage for the lemon balm here. So I'm going to kind of speed through it, but same thing, I'm going to cut where there are 2 leaves that are connecting on the plant. Again, not taking more than 1/3. And this one is shorter than the pineapple sage, probably because I have been harvesting from this already for some fresh tea. So I'm probably not going to get as much. I don't even know if I'll have any necessarily to dry, but we will see. So I'm going to go ahead and get this harvested now. So I ran inside, filled these both with water. Now, shake them up. And we're going to go put them into the sunlight. So now that I'm done with the infused water, next I'm going to harvest from the lemongrass here for the dried tea reeds. Now this one obviously is a bit different of a structure. It's not like there's one stem with leaves on each node. There's kind of the woody stem at the base and then the green leaves coming off of it. So I'm gonna harvest like a whole stalk of this. And the leafy part is what I'm gonna use for the wreath, and then the woody base I'm also gonna save because you can use that for cooking. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest some of these. So let's take a look just to show you what this herb looks like. So the green part are the leaves, and there's the woodier brown part down here that is the base. So I'm basically going to harvest right at the base of the entire leaf. So here's what I harvested. I gave them a quick rinse, but I basically just harvested 4 of the stalks here, and I'm probably going to make a wreath with each of the stalks. So I'll have 4 wreaths to dry and use in tea, and typically you're gonna get 1 use out of each wreath and maybe 2 cups, and then you can compost them now that I have a composter. So I'll take you up close and I'll show you kind of the instructions in the book that I'm gonna follow and see if I can successfully make a lemongrass tea wreath. Okay, so now we're going to attempt to make one of the wreaths. So the instructions say you wanna make a loop on one end and then just tie it around like that. And then I'm going to keep looping the leaves around the base, around the ring, kind of similar to making a wreath form with twigs. So you wrap them around each other to keep them in place. So I'm just gonna keep wrapping, pretty tight, but not tight enough to like rip the leaves off. And now that I'm near the end here, I'm just going to slide it through one of the ends to keep it in place. So with these wreaths, you just want to let them dry for a couple weeks, and then you can use them, you can hang on to them for however long you want. They will be more potent if you use them sooner rather than like waiting for a year from now. But I'll probably use this like in the next couple of months, and you'll just put this directly into your cup of hot water and let it brew that way. So I'm really excited to have these as well besides the infused water. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of the herbs that I didn't use in the infused water, I'm going to hang them up to dry, and then I will show you my super sophisticated herb drying setup. So like I said, this is my super sophisticated herb setup, basically the metal rack that originally started as shelves for plants, then is where I started my seeds, is now where I'm drying my herbs. Because I have so many, it's harder for me to tell which is which. So I've basically laid out plates here, labeled them with the herb. I hang the herb above them to dry. Once they're dry, I put them on the plate. And then once I've collected enough of the dried herbs, I will grind them up and put them into their storage jars. So that is how I'm currently drying my herbs. So that's going to be everything for today's video. Let me know if there's anything else that you like to make with herbs, any recipes, or even just herb blends that you like to do, and I would definitely love to steal some ideas from you. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.